Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of Jock Talk with the Jocks of All Trades podcast. I am Brad. This is Luke, and we are joined by our very good friend from the Afro Latinos podcast, Aubin. What's up, man?
What up, baby? Hey, listen, I kind of finagled my way up in this bad fella right here. I seen some stuff that was going on Facebook after the playoff games yesterday, and we've had this conversation a bit on a show that didn't go anywhere, but that's okay because I'm here to let all y'all know about it and let you know what's good with it. That's all I'm saying. I'm here. I'm here for a great time.
So, Aubin, if you don't know, if you're new to the show, Aubin is from our, I almost said sister podcast, but there's no sisters on that podcast. So our brother podcast, Afro Latinos. Do you want to give us like a short spiel of what Afro Latinos is and maybe talk about some merch you got going on?
A short spiel. I don't know if I have a short spiel, but I'll let you guys know a little secret about the Afro Latinos or a little bit about us. So we're a podcast that started in 2019 in the pandemic. We, my best friend and I are the hosts and founders of the show. We tackle anything from race and ethnicity issues, being Afro-Latinos. I'm African-American and Dominican, Chinese, born in Puerto Rico. So we cover anything from race and ethnicity and identity issues or conversations to everyday life as a person in this world trying to navigate each space. And so we talk about sports. We talk about video games. We talk about anything and everything that could possibly happen in life because we're just normal people. We're not just a brand. And on top of that, on Monday, or usually Monday nights, kind of random right now because of our schedules. But we also have a second show called You Think You Know, which is a trivia show. Everyone officially everyone from the Jocks of All Trades has been. Oh, we got Kyle. All we had to do was talk about the Eagles, and I had Kyle on the show. He actually won the episode last week. So very thankful to have him on the show. But we have had everyone here. You guys are the family. We love being with you guys. And we love to talk sports with you guys. It's a great time. Sure. Also, we got merch. So first and foremost, check us out on Facebook at Afro Latinos. That's AFROLATINOS. All one word. You see a nice, pretty picture of a cactus on there. If you want to follow our Instagram, I believe it is Afro Latinos 24. My wife runs that page, so I have no idea what's on there. We have a Twitch, which is definitely Afro Latinos 24. Instagram might be Afro Latinos Podcast. And then there's one more that I'm missing, YouTube, which is also Afro Latinos. Find us anywhere digital podcasts can be found. We have a link to our new merch, new design on the logo. You see me repping today. The Afro Latinos Podcast merchandise is available on bonfire.com. Check us out there. Search up the Afro Latinos Podcast. You'll find this sweatshirt in two different colors. We got t-shirts in two different colors. A crew neck long sleeve shirt or sweatshirt with one color, as well as 2 coffee mugs available. So check us out, bonfire.com. Search for the Afro Latinos Podcast. Find the links on Facebook. That's it. I told you I couldn't do it short, but
love it. Hey, that's fine. That was nice and descriptive. All right, so we know the meat of what we're going to talk about today. So we're not going to start with the meat. We're going to start with the appetizer. So let's go into the buzz. Guys, I put this down because this was kind of shocking, and maybe you guys can help me understand this. But the Baltimore Ravens fired their defensive coordinator, Wink Martindale. I don't know about you guys, but the defense wasn't really the problem for most of the season. So this was kind of a shock for me because he had 1 year left on his contract. Will this next year then be the year that they finally give Lamar enough help?
I mean, I think Hollywood Brown is improving slowly but surely. I mean, as long as he stays healthy. They've got a good stable of running backs once they get healthy, because J.K. Dobbins, we know he can tear it up. I mean, he's very similar to what the Chiefs have in Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He just needs to be healthy. So I think the Ravens are just like a piece or two offensively, like a wide receiver core away from having a very potent offense, at least pieces wise. Now, how those pieces come together That's the job of an offensive coordinator. So once you get him those pieces, and if they don't mesh at that point, then you know it's a scheme problem. And then that's when you need to start going to the offensive coordinator or some other position coaches and be like, okay, what is the problem here? But the Ravens aren't that far away. They really aren't that far away.
Mm-mm. I think injuries just derailed them this season, and that was the kind of recurring issue the entire season. So let's talk about someone else in the same division. Who dey? The Bengals are actually proving that they have a little something behind them. The question is, how strong do we think that is? Is this just everyone on that side was weak and they had an easy path? Is this maybe he's just getting lucky because he has a lot of good weapons? What do we actually think about the Cincinnati Bengals?
Well, here's the thing. They just beat the conference champion in Tennessee, and they were with Derrick Henry, one of the best defenses we've seen in the NFL. And yes, they got to Joe Burrow a lot. If the Bengals had lost this game, right now this conversation would be about you should have took Penei Sewell in the draft and shouldn't have taken Jamar Chase.
No, that would not be the conversation.
Not that.
I disagree.
Because they won. So
then what would the conversation have been, Aubin?
Well, it would have just been, is next year their year? Because, yes, Joe Burrow ate 9 sacks, right? That's a lot. It's way too many, especially in the playoff game. He can't do that. But Jamar Chase is the only reason they won that division. They don't win that division with just T. Higgins, with just Joe Mixon, with Jamar Chase took their offense from with Joe Burrow to that could be a problem to that's a problem. And Jamar Chase is on another level. I mean, he is Jordan Jefferson in year one. I mean, now, is there a coincidence that they both went to LSU? I mean, come on now. No, definitely not. I mean, and Joe Burrow. I mean, come on. We do things differently down there in the Bayou. But that conversation would have nothing to do with Penei Sewell. Penei is where he should be.
We go 6-6 in the Bayou. I didn't hear you right. Give me 1 second. Hang on.
What'd you say?
We go 6-6 in the Bayou. What was
losing the Natty in the Bayou? Is that?
Okay. How long has it been for you?
Three
years now, right?
It's 1 year before yours. What do you mean? It's not that long ago. Let's talk about Ohio. If you want to talk about college football winning the national championship, let's talk about Ohio State. Okay, let's not do that. Let's not do that.
We won the inaugural playoff, and nothing you guys can say can take that away from us.
1 year.
Hey, buckle up for next year. You know we coming. You know CJ Stroud be coming.
You know who really coming? Will Anderson. But it's all right. We'll move on from that. It's so good. Okay, so speaking of college, let's talk a way too early top 4 for NCAA rankings next year. Aubin, would you like to spearhead this conversation? If you start with LSU, I'm kicking you out.
Start with LSU.
I mean, obviously, LSU will be back in its full glory in the top 25 where they belong. But they're not touching the college football playoffs. It's not happening. Top 2, Georgia and Alabama. There's nothing to show that they wouldn't go back. Be right back where they were. Sure, they lose some pieces, but I think that the number 1 rankings for the next season will have them both 1 and 2. Absolutely. If Jim Harbaugh leaves Michigan, you see them decline probably unless they pick up another big name. Who else? Cincinnati, can they do it again? Can they be ranked that high again? I don't know. There's a lot of change over this offseason in terms of head coaching positions in the college football world. So it's really hard to say, will Oklahoma be as good without Lincoln Riley? Can they win in the Big Ten?
Oklahoma's not in the Big Ten.
Big 12. He
12.
got it. He's
Yeah.
The bigs, whatever number it is. The SEC is where I focus, so I don't really care about nobody else. The big team, the big conference. What is the Pac-10? Is it Pac-10 or 12?
12.
What does the Pac-12 look like with Lincoln Riley then leaving from Oklahoma and going to USC, and all of USC's roster, or all of Oklahoma's roster transferring to USC? What does that look like? What are some of these transfers that have ended up in SEC schools or that have ended up in other? You know what I'm saying? So it's so hard to tell. This is a huge offseason in the NCAA in terms of changeover at all the major positions. And so it's really, really, really hard to say. I mean, the one thing is we're going to have Kirby Smart be Kirby Smart. We're going to have Nick Saban be Nick Saban. Those are the only two that I can guarantee are going to be sitting in the top four, most likely at the end. Does Clemson have a rebound year? I mean, I don't know. You know, what does all of this look like? The only constants are the constants, the ones that have been there forever. You know, they're always in the conversation. So what's to say next year they won't be again?
Right. So, Luke, before you ever get to it, I will defend you for once and say there is only one other team that I think that would be up in those top three consistents. And it's only because their offense is so stupid and ridiculous good. It has to be Ohio State. So I think Alabama, Georgia, and Ohio State are going to be in those top three somewhere. Am I sure where they're going to be cemented? No. But I think those three have been constants for the past couple of years in conversations. Maybe Georgia not quite as much as Ohio State.
Georgia's been there. See, Georgia for the last 5 years, give or take, Georgia's been in the conversation until they play Alabama.
Yeah,
and that's the problem, is that they play Alabama every year, and that's an automatic L other than the national championship game. That's an automatic L, which immediately takes them out of the conversation because you're going to end up with someone who's unbeaten who doesn't have to play in Alabama. And that's the toughest thing about an SEC team, is that they could be a great team, but there are not many teams that can catch Alabama sleeping and that will win a game head-to-head against Nick Saban and that team. So, that's tough. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. No, I would agree. I would agree that Georgia's definitely going to be in the conversation.
Right. So
I just don't think when you look at here's the thing. Here's what I'm looking at when I see Ohio State coming from it as a fan. If anyone's been keeping track of it, Ryan Day went absolutely scorched earth with his defensive staff. There is a new defensive coordinator. There are now two new secondary coaches. The only person on that defensive staff that he kept was Larry Johnson, who is the defensive line coach. So this is an Ohio State team that went 10-2, won a Rose Bowl, finished sixth in the country, and they're saying this is nowhere near good enough. So I think you're going to see the defense make a significant improvement for this over this offseason. It's not going to be the same defense. Plus, we're bringing in some studs.
Right.
So, and then you have CJ Stroud, Travion Henderson, Jackson Smith and Jigba, who should be, in the absence of Olave and Wilson, probably a strong favorite for the Biletnikoff. And then you add in names like Marvin Harrison Jr., Emeka Egbuka, and all those guys. So I do think Ohio State is probably a solid number 2 going into next season. You have Alabama. I would have Alabama 1, Ohio State 2, Georgia 3, because I don't know how much they're losing. I get the feeling this was a very mature team that won the national championship this year around, and they probably are going to be losing a few pieces that they might not be able to afford to lose if they're going to try to make another title run next year. As for the 4 spot, I mean, you all know that I'm not a huge fan of the SEC favoritism that happens, but I do have to give kudos to A&M. That recruiting class is absolutely
nuts,
ridiculous.
Yep.
And so it would not surprise me at all. And they beat Alabama this year. So now they have to go play them in Tuscaloosa this year, so it's going to be a battle. So they may not be able to get into that conversation because I doubt they'll be able to get past Alabama a second consecutive time. But I would not be surprised if they make a very, very hard run in the SEC to try to make it to Atlanta for conference championship weekend.
Mm-hmm. So let's let's go ahead and wrap up the rest of the buzz because I know everybody's itching to get to the NFL. So the real question is, I think everybody's heard it at this point, is that Harbaugh has kind of said, if the Raiders offer me, I'll go. On a scale of 1 to 10, just real simple, where do we think, how likely do we think it is that he goes to the Raiders?
I think we're looking at a 35% chance that he goes.
That was not what he asked you. He said out of 10, Luke. 65
okay,
or 35 is not
a 6.5 out of 10.
All right. Wait, 65.
A 6.5 out of 10 probability that he goes. It's definitely not 50-50 because
I'll give it a 7. I'll give it a 7. It seems pretty likely. Because honestly, are you going to repeat that kind of success against Ohio State and do what you did every year? I don't think so.
Yeah, but here's the problem. If I'm the Raiders, I am asking the question, especially if I'm a Raiders fan, I am asking, why are we so hyped about potentially getting a coach who lost 6 consecutive games to the team that really only mattered? You win one time, and then you go to the playoff, get your butt absolutely whooped. But the whole team still acts like they won a freaking Super Bowl. It's like beating Ohio State 1 time out of 7 meant that much to him. And now the media is hyping Jim Harbaugh as like this magnificent coach because he beat Ohio State.
Welcome to every time Auburn beats us.
I know.
Every single time. I know.
Well, Here's the thing. It's even more than that because Auburn has been able to sneak wins in. Michigan hasn't won the game since 2011.
I know.
So that's massive. So here's the thing. If I'm a Raiders fan, I'm going, we should not be hyped about this hire. Me personally, I want Jim Harbaugh to stay at Michigan because it means the status quo, which means we win 9 out of 10 years.
Right.
So if I'm a Raiders fan, I'm not excited about this.
Right. Auburn scale of 1 to 10.
Hey, I'm gonna go with an 8. I think it's a great hire for Las Vegas. I think if there's anyone that's going to be able to get Derek Carr, other than Gruden, who that was his guy, I think if there's anyone that's going to be able to motivate Derek Carr into being a quarterback that's slightly better than slightly above average, it might be Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah.
They got a lot of weapons. Well, not so many anymore, but I mean, Josh Jacobs is a weapon for sure. Had Henry Ruggs not did what he did, that would be a whole different conversation. But you know, he's had success at both the college and pro level. He's been to a Super Bowl. And I don't know that Michigan losing all of those games under his tenure as head coach against Ohio State is as much a negative as you seem to be making it. Simply because, like, let's look at Alabama, for example, right? So Texas A&M probably doesn't beat Bama in a game 9 times out of 10, right?
Right.
But that one game that they win, which they did this year, was like the next coming of Jesus because you finally got that monkey off your back. You know what I mean? That win is the one that you've been searching for. So it's gonna feel like a Super Bowl to you when you finally do the one thing that you haven't been able to do.
You're right.
And Michigan, before Harbaugh got there, was not a powerhouse. They were not a top 10 team in the NFL. I'm sorry, in the college football world. They were not a top 10 team. They were not expected to be a top 10 team. I don't follow it that closely with college football in terms of recruiting classes or anything like that. But you know, I'm not seeing any big names coming out of Michigan to the NFL that are making a difference even at the NFL level. So just from a talent perspective, Jim Harbaugh has had less to work with at Michigan than an Ohio State would when Ohio State is one of the major conferences and one of the major colleges in the United States where people want to go play. I mean, not everyone wants to go play in Michigan, but Ohio State, because of their success over the years, they're getting people to go there. And that's part of the problem in college is you have to get players to go there. If you can't do that, you're not going to be successful. And so if Ohio State is able to recruit those players and come to Ohio more so than Michigan, it's not a surprise that Michigan doesn't win in those games. And so I look at his success with the San Francisco 49ers as a head coach. I look at his success that he has had in Michigan. It definitely has not been as great as it could be. They are, let's see. He is, in his entire career at the collegiate level, he's 119-51. So he's got a 700 winning record in the college football world. He sits slightly underneath that in the NFL. His career head coaching record in the NFL is 49-22-1, which is a 68.8% winning percentage. So he is way above average in terms of his win record in both college and in the NFL. And I think that is a smart hire, someone who can be disciplined. I think a lot of the problems with the Raiders and a lot of the mistakes that they were making was simply they were not disciplined. A lot of penalties, a lot of stuff. I mean, Henry Ruggs should not do what he did, right? Yeah. It's got to be something to do with, of course, a coach can't tell you don't go out and drink and then drive 130 miles an hour. But there's something about the culture that needs to be different in Las Vegas because there's a lot of undisciplined players, a lot of things that are seeming to go wrong.
They need culture. They have no culture.
That's true.
Yeah,
part of that is the move from Oakland to Las Vegas, and now they're, they're in a bigger market in terms of watchability and a lot of eyes on them. But I think Jim Harbaugh makes them a contender in that division. That's a really tough division, the AFC West. I mean, you've got the Broncos who have a good young defense. Their offense is not good, but their defense is good. You've got the Chargers who are a piece or two away. I love Justin Herbert, so the Chargers are a piece or two away. And then you got the Chiefs who are the freaking Chiefs. So are they going to win the division with Jim Harbaugh? Does he put them over? No. Does he make them a more likely consistent playoff? But, they made the playoffs this year. So who's to say that with a better head coach than what they have at the interim, that they wouldn't be successful?
Something you mentioned, too, about Harbaugh having that kind of I know how to work with the underdogs kind of thing. Maybe that also makes Las Vegas a popular destination for free agents, too, because for the life of me, I can't remember the last time the Raiders got somebody big.
It's Las Vegas, so they should be.
So maybe it will be. You can say, hey, here's Vegas. I'm Harbaugh. You kind of seen what I've done with lesser talent. Look and see what I can do with you. So, it's possible. So I'm with it. So, all right, let's move on. So I'm going to go out of order, Luke. I'm going to let you talk about it, and then we'll have the debate about it when we get to NFL highlights. Or unless you just want to do it here, that's fine. But then we're just going to do mop-up duty on the NFL and not talk about it. So pick your battle here.
Okay, let's talk about the first games. Let's talk about the games in order that they were played, so that we get to the last one. We get to the juicy one at the end.
Okay.
So Bengals Titans.
This is the greatest weekend of professional football I've ever seen in my life. Every game came down to the last play. All four of them.
Yes, that is true. That is nuts. My takeaway from the Bengals Titans game is, again, Titans with one of the best defenses in the league, the number one seed in the AFC, with Derrick Henry, who is incredible, and the Bengals get sacked 9 times. Joe Burrow goes down 9 times, and he still finds a way to win 12 of those points. Give the MVP of that game, give the game ball to that kicker, that rookie kicker that they have, because they needed him each and every time that they got him. So, do I see this Bengals team beating the Chiefs? No. But it tells me that this Bengals team has got mojo in that Joey Burrow can get up 9 times and still dial up that Tennessee defense as the way that he needed to. So I was impressed.
Mm-hmm. How about 49ers Packers? I have thoughts on this. I'm going to keep my thoughts until we get to a different segment later down here.
Okay. Aubin, what did you take away from the 49ers Packers game?
Everyone should just go get vaccinated. In my personal opinion, if Aaron Rodgers would have been vaccinated, he might have had a chance to win the game. There's something there. Maybe it would have given him an edge up on the competition or something. I don't know. In all seriousness, 49ers are a heck of a team. They've played through a lot of adversity this year. Lots and lots of injuries, but they've been grinding. They've been fighting. Aaron Rodgers, great quarterback. Statistically, phenomenal quarterback. Choke artist in the playoffs. Choke artist. Disappears. Or just doesn't do enough. Or his defense never does enough because they've never had a great defense and he's had to do it all. Whatever the reason is, he's 0-4 in his career against the 49ers in the playoffs. He lost to not only Colin Kaepernick, but Jimmy Garoppolo in the playoffs. 49ers, man. I mean, are the 49ers going to beat the Rams? There's zero way at all that in the playoff game. Of course, now I will say that the 49ers and Rams did just play in week 16 or 17, and they did win, but I don't think they beat them again. I don't think that happens. And in terms of the Bengals Raiders game, or the Bengals Titans game, sorry, I just want to jump in. I didn't say anything for that one. Just want to jump in real quick. If there's one team offensively other than the Bills, and I know we're getting there, that can go head to head, toe to toe in terms of scoring, that's going to be my man Joey Burrow and Jamar Chase and them. So, do I think they could beat them? Absolutely. They played this season, if I'm not mistaken. They played once already, and the Bengals beat them.
Chiefs?
The Bengals already won. They won
They already
once.
beat the Chiefs, yeah.
They beat them 34-31.
Can they do it again, though?
Listen,
I think so.
Here's why I think so. Joe Burrow put up 446 passing yards in that game and 4 touchdowns and no interceptions. Tyrann Mathieu got injured and didn't play at all last night. That defense for the Chiefs looked atrocious. Joe Burrow, if we're watching the Buffalo Bills game as any indication of how bad the Chiefs defense is and how they are unable to stop anything, imagine what Jamar Chase is going to do. Imagine what T. Higgins is going to do. Imagine what Joe Mixon is going to. That offense is scary. When they're clicking on all cylinders, that offense is scary.
With the noted absence of an O-line,
but that offense is scary without the O-line. They didn't have an O-line when they beat them the first time, and Joe Burrow still threw for 400 yards.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, in my opinion, can they go down there and go head-to-head, toe-to-toe with the Chiefs and win? I think so. Joe Burrow put up 4,600 yards this season throwing. 4,600 yards. That man has a gun, and he going to use it on them Chiefs and put them down. And that's my opinion. And that's all I'll say about that because I know we're getting there.
Okay.
Rams Bucks. Tom Brady may have lost, but he's going to go to his pool of rejuvenation, the Lazarus pits, if you will, and, come back for the next off season. Gronk will go back to his cave.
He's got too much pride not to come back.
Yeah, I don't know.
He's got to go out. He's going to go out. He's going to go out on a win.
Maybe, but it was awesome to kind of see Matt Stafford do his thing. Granted, they almost blew that whole lead, but they showed some guts and played defense down the stretch and won it. So, granted, they still lost it. Like Brady is Brady, but there wasn't like a whole lot more that I wanted to talk to about that. So the next game, I didn't watch in person. I had to go back and watch. Defense on any side would have been appreciated at all.
This is the Bills-Chiefs game we're talking about now?
Yeah. It's unfortunate. So I'm going to take the middle stance, and I'll let you guys hash it out. I believe in both of what you think. I believe with Auburn, if they were that good, shouldn't be in that situation. Should have played a better game for 60 minutes. You had 4 quarters to put them away, and you didn't. I get it. But at the same time, I don't really think it's fair to let it's almost like the roll of a dice determine who gets to go on and win. I get it. Yes, the Bills could have shut them down in that drive and then literally kicked the field goal and that was it. But they couldn't. But I just hate, and it's the same thing that the Chiefs complained about 2 years ago when the Patriots did the same thing to them, that they're now celebrating. So I'm just annoyed with the NFL playoffs, period. I like the Super Bowl, but getting there is always so annoying and drama-filled that I'm like, I don't care. So I get it. It could go either way. Do I think the current mode is okay? Probably not. Do I know how to change that? Probably not. But I'm going to take the middle stance just because I'm annoyed with the NFL period. So that being said, I'm just going to skip spicy meatball. Here's your spicy meatball. Go ahead and say it, and then you guys can hash it out. I am going to put you on a time constraint, but have at it.
All right. I'm going to let my man Auburn take
this. No. Please.
Okay.
Please.
All right. I'll go first then. NFL overtime rules are absolute trash. The fact that at the end of the game, the way that the last few minutes of regulation went, where you have Pat Mahomes and Josh Allen locked in a deadly duel to see who would win that game. And you decide to flip a coin to decide who gets to take on the other team's gassed defense at the end for the game is disgusting. And it was disgusting when it happened against the Chiefs in 2019 and to the Patriots' favor. It's been disgusting every time it's happened. It would be similar to in a baseball game if you got past 9 innings, just saying the next point wins the game, regardless of whether we get to the bottom of the inning. That doesn't matter. Next run wins the game. That is the equivalent. In no other sport do we do overtime this way. In college football and every other division of college football, we give the burden of proof to both teams. They say your offense has to prove itself and your defense has to prove itself. In basketball, we do the exact same thing in that all the players get tested in everything. Soccer, we give them a time, and however much time is there, they go at it. And if it's still tied at the end of that, then it goes to pairs of penalty kicks. And the same is true with hockey. The NFL is the only division in any sport that says, depending on complete and utter chance, one team will have to prove that both of its units are worthy, while one team, if their first unit proves to be successful, their second unit gets a pass. This is completely and atrociously unfair. This is unfairness of the highest magnitude, and I am disgusted that it's taking the NFL this long to find something that's fair. This should have been fixed years ago, but they're too egotistical to admit that college ball actually does it closer to right. Now, I'm not saying college ball does it perfectly by any stretch, but it is much closer to actually being fair. Now, what I would recommend, maybe instead of giving the teams the ball at the 25-yard line, having them go 25 yards, you put 2 minutes on the clock, have a kickoff, and each team gets a chance at doing 2-minute drills. Something like that. So, but maybe not. All I'm saying is the present system does not work because the burden of proof that is given to both teams at the outset of overtime, which is all that matters. When you get to overtime, it is a clean slate. Nothing that happened previously matters. You get to overtime, the burden of proof must be upon both teams equally, and currently it is not. I yield the floor.
Your verdict, sir? I'll run this as like a court case, I guess, if you're gonna say it like that.
All right. My wife is in a meeting next door, so I got my soundproof room on my walls, but it's not that good because I'm still loud. So I'm gonna try and keep a level head. But let's look at what the prosecutor here has laid with the evidence before us. Let's just look at a couple different things. Number one, plain and simple, the Bills lost the game. The Bills deserved to have lost the game because they were incapable of stopping a nosebleed. They let Tyreek Hill sprint at 3,000 miles an hour down the field after going down and scoring a touchdown.
Yeah.
They do everything they can to go down and score. They scored another touchdown. They go up. They do everything the right way. Everything the right way. They score a touchdown with, what was it, 20 some odd seconds?
13 seconds.
Well, no, that's how long it took them to get down the field. But there was like 20 some odd seconds, 30 some odd seconds, right?
Something like that.
I thought that they scored with 13 seconds left.
Play number one. Play number one. It was what was his name? What's their tight end's name? Travis Kelce.
Yeah.
Travis Kelce somehow goes down 20 yards to the middle of the field with no defender next to him. Why they're not draped over Travis Kelce, I don't understand. So defense already showing a problem right there. They can't stop anything. Call timeout. The next pass somehow miraculously gets all the way downfield. I don't even remember the ending of that game and all the events that happened, but the Bills deserve to lose that game because they let Patrick Mahomes take 13 seconds. They did everything that they could to stop him from getting. But you know who's at fault at the end of that game right there? That's the special teams coach. Because they kicked it to the back of the end zone and pushed the ball to the 25-yard line, which is the rule in the NFL. They knew that was the case. And they let Patrick Mahomes go all the way down the field to kick a field goal to tie the game. Here's what should have happened. In the Bills, we would not be having this conversation, more than likely. The Bills kick it short so the ball is in play so that they at least waste 4 to 5 seconds. And then you force Patrick Mahomes to chuck the ball 70 yards down the field in one play, as opposed to giving him 2 to 3 plays to end the game. So it's a special teams problem. So once you go to overtime after that, you have shown in 4 quarters you are incapable of winning the game. Whatever happens after that happens. Is it the most fair thing in the world? No. Maybe they should take a note from basketball, for example. In overtime in basketball, you play a shortened period and everyone gets to do what they do. Maybe that happens. You play a shortened, instead of playing a full 15-minute quarter, maybe you play a 8-minute quarter, a 6-minute quarter. And whatever happens in that 6 to 8-minute quarter happens. Great. Let's talk about the difference, number one, between the NFL and all of those other overtime periods. In the NFL, these are grown men hitting each other with all of their power. Can we talk for a moment about what could possibly happen in an NFL playoff game, for example? Let's look at a great game. Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs versus Josh Allen and the Bills. Let's imagine we're looking at the collegiate playoffs and everyone gets a turn. And we end up with a Penn State, Illinois 9 overtime game. We end up with a LSU and whoever that team was that ended up in like 7 overtimes. Let's just imagine the number of injuries that could take place in 9 overtimes in the NFL, where injuries happen on every play. Let's imagine that in those 9 overtime periods, Patrick Mahomes gets injured, Josh Allen gets injured, they're out for the rest of the playoffs. Now, in the conference championship game, when you're supposed to be sending your best of the best, we get Chad Henne or whoever the backup is in Pittsburgh or in Kansas City, and whoever the backup is in Buffalo. Is that the game that you want to see? No. Because in the NFL, you are risking your life on every single play. It is the only sport in the major sports in the United States where you are risking your career on every single play. And for that reason, in my opinion, the shorter the overtime, the less chance of drastic injury to the players and their careers. Now, you said something interesting, and I want to break it down. In the NBA, yes, they have the full overtime period. But how is the ball chosen at the start of an overtime period? I mean, where does the ball go?
By an exhibition of skill.
A tip-off is skill? Is that what you're telling me?
Yes, it is. It is a skill of who can jump higher.
No, it's just a reaction. It's just who jumps
because,
first.
Well, okay,
9
it's
times
not
out of
who
10,
can
it's
jump
who
higher.
jumps first.
Nate Robinson beat a whole bunch of 7-footers because he knew when to jump.
Let's put the ball into a ref's hands, have them toss a ball. God forbid the ball goes this way. Uh-oh, that's leading one way. Uh-oh, ball goes that way. In the NBA, anything could happen, right? You get that ball, you score first. Anything could happen. You could have the upper hand. Just beat you. Why? Because someone threw a ball up and you were able to get there first.
But here's the thing.
There's, in my opinion, that's either that. Just wait. That's heads or tails. Am I right or wrong? I mean, a tip-off is just heads or tails. It's just a coin flip. Anyone could win. It's a matter of chance at that moment.
Oh!
What up, Kyle? The NBA tip-off is simply a matter of chance. Whatever happens, happens. Just like a coin flip. Let's talk about the MLB, because you brought up baseball. And now I know you don't know as much about baseball as you think you do, but I do. Let's talk about how the MLB is structured. In an MLB game, the fundamental principle of an MLB game is that you have a top of the inning and a bottom of the inning. There is no such thing in the NBA. There is no such thing in the NFL. It is disrespectful to try and compare the two, because the basic principle of baseball is that if you score in the top of the inning, the other team has a chance to score in the bottom. That is ingrained inside of baseball as a sport itself. Number two, do you know how extra innings work in the MLB right now?
Both get a chance.
Yeah, no, it's you should be able, if the top of the inning would have runs you score, in the bottom of the inning, you either score that many runs.
What was the rule change that was implemented in the last 2 years in extra innings in baseball?
I would have to
and I want you to tell me what you think about this, because you brought baseball into the conversation about fair overtime. In baseball, in the current structure of extra innings, at the beginning of the inning, a man is randomly selected. Now, it's not randomly selected, but a man from your team is immediately placed on second base in scoring position. Is that fair?
Do both teams get that advantage?
Both teams get the exact same advantage, but you work your entire 9-inning game pitching at the top of the inning with no one on base. And now we get to extra innings, and you're going to give this team where a single can score a run? I don't think that's exactly equal to what you're talking about. I struggle to see
both
how
teams get that advantage in their half of the innings, though.
But here's the thing with the NFL guys is, like, it's not just an offensive game. It's offense and defense. Like, your defense, when you're going out there, is supposed to stop the offense. That's the name of the game.
Defense was supposed to stop that offense in 4 quarters.
Yeah, if you would have given me the opportunity to say, hey, do you want to stop Patrick Mahomes in the overtime, or do you want to give him 13 seconds left and hold him to nothing? I would 100%. Most everybody would agree with me, and they would say, "Yeah, I'd rather give him 13 seconds and try to stop him there instead of giving him in overtime."
Absolutely.
Like, Bills had a job to do. The number one defense in the NFL, by the way, had a job to do. They could not do it. The defense, they failed. The defense is supposed to stop the offense. That's the NFL. That's the game. They couldn't do it. Like you can say both teams should get a chance at it, but like they did get a chance. They're supposed to stop.
If the coin had come up on the different side, we'd be talking the same way about how the Chiefs' defense had a job to do, but instead their cornerback tripped and let whatever his name right into the end zone.
For sure.
The conversation we're having here is pointless because it all depends on a coin flip.
Okay.
No, it doesn't.
Now, let's think about this. Let's just think about this for a second.
Defense and offense. That's what happens.
Yes, so both defenses and offenses from both teams should play in overtime.
No, defense is the same. It's a whole team, Luke. It's not just the offense gets team. It's a whole team. The defense is part of the whole team. Like, why don't college football is nice and everything, but like everybody scores in college football at the 25-yard line. You can go into 9 overtimes if you want. The NFL
we would right now still be watching the Bills
still be going on.
And Chiefs
like that
right now
nothing.
At 8:00 at night on Monday evening. We would still be watching the same. We'd be in 3,700 overtimes right now because neither defense could do anything. The game has to stop at some time. So for you to say that the coin flip is complete. I mean, the coin flip starts the game. It starts the original game, which no one has a problem with. So why is it a problem?
Because the other team gets the ball in the
same rule and their strategy. There's strategy involved in the kickoff at the beginning. It's the same rule. How are you going to have a completely different set of rules that is completely the antithesis of what you do for every game ever just because it's the playoff? That doesn't make any sense.
Let me take the middle ground. I've been quiet the whole time. Let me take the middle ground here. So I've listened to everybody's argument. I get it. Yes, the game should have been finished there. The reason we're whinging for college football overtime rules is, I get it. You have more chances. I get it. There's more chances. You still get a chance in overtime in the NFL, and I get that, but it feels very curtailed, and I understand that. Now, Kyle, the only reason I showed you the Penn State-Illinois thing is the same argument I can make with the Iron Bowl. That game should have been over a long time ago before they ever got to overtime, and I get it. But maybe we need to put a limit, and maybe this is how we move forward. Like 7 overtimes, you're right. Nobody wants to see that. But the point is, everybody got a shot, which I get that with Luke. I do. But maybe if we curtailed it to you get the 3 overtimes, you can't do it in 3 overtimes. It's just a tie. We do ties in the NFL. Why doesn't this happen now?
Because what are you going to do with the tie in the playoffs? Who plays in the next game?
Right. That's why I'm saying like a 3 overtime for the regular season, because it's not just the playoffs that irritate me. It's the NFL in general, how they run. And I'm just annoyed with the NFL, and that's why I've stayed out of this. But I don't find the playoffs exciting. Like, they need to figure out how to fix that first. Second of all, you need to find a tiebreaker way. Yes, I get it. They should have done it in the 60 minutes. I'm with you on that. I am. I'm like that. That's where the meat of the game was. If you can't do it there, then why are you there? But if you are going to have an overtime, I also understand would Josh Allen have responded? Like, like he did all game. Like, why would that have been different?
Yes.
So I don't know where to find a middle ground. That's the problem.
The thing. If we look at the Ravens team from early 2000s when they had frickin' Trent Dilfer at quarterback, who's not a great quarterback at all, guaranteed if they went into overtime, the Ravens would say, let's put our defense out first because our defense was our offense. The defense is just as important. You have a job to do. They did not do it. Defense can score for your team. Defense can get you a 3-and-out and get your team. The special teams can get a punt return and go to the 20-yard line. You can set for a field goal. You can win the game. Like your team, their whole team, whether you think or not, the offense should have been on the field. Your defense is supposed to get the ball for your offense. That's part of the game.
Okay, so my question to Kyle then is, let's say the Bills stopped the Chiefs and prevented them from scoring. Let's say there was a turnover. Let's say there was a fumble. Why isn't the game over at that point? The Bills' first unit.
The Chiefs' defense still has a chance to get on the floor on the field. They still have to do their. They
Wait a
still have
minute.
to do their
Here's
job.
Here's the thing. We're saying that if the Chiefs' offense succeeds, game is over. Chiefs win.
Here's where you're wrong.
The Bills' first unit succeeds, they don't win. Their second unit has to come out and succeed.
Can I show you where you're wrong? And it's a very simple difference. And Brad, I understand you're confused by this point, but let me show you the difference. You're talking about a 3-and-out. That means your defense held up, right? We're not talking about 4-and-out, whatever it is, right? Mm-hmm. Your one half did its job to stop that team from scoring. The other defense has the exact opportunity to do the same thing because now they've had their chance and they blew it. Okay. The other team, they have to now prove that they're good enough to stop the other team. Now, let me show you how you're wrong. In the NFL, in years prior, this rule change is not that new anymore, but it's not old, right? The way that the game used to work was that if you went into overtime, the first score of any kind wins the game. Point blank, period.
Yep.
Point blank, period.
Anything.
And we all agree that that is not fair. If my defense is as good as it should be, especially in the playoffs, I should be able to hold your team to a field goal. In which case, I have done my job and kept them from scoring a touchdown, which at the very least is doable, right? The other team then should absolutely get a chance to tie the game or win the game with a touchdown. The Bills' defense didn't do it in regular time.
They didn't do it in 13 seconds.
In 13 seconds. They didn't do it in overtime. Yep. At the very least, your defense should be able, no matter whether it's regular time or in overtime, your professional NFL defense should be able to hold a team to at least a field goal.
But why do we only apply that reasoning to the Bills defense?
Here's why. Because if I am the Chiefs, right, and I go down and I kick a field goal, as the Bills, they get a chance to tie the game. They get a chance to win the game because they did their job.
Yeah.
I cannot, as the defense, give up a touchdown and then expect my offense to have to go out and match that because I didn't do my job.
So
that's not fair to the defense who gave up a touchdown.
So
now the offense has to make up for my mistakes.
Entirely no sense.
No, it does. I've got it now. I got it, and I'm the guy that's on the fence. I got it. So if I can paraphrase Aubin, the idea here is that the only reason we hate it is because they won the flip and he scored a touchdown, and that's it. That's why we hate it. But if you think about it in terms of if they stopped them, they could have won the game. But they failed to do it not only in overtime, and you're right, they did fail to do it in those last 13 seconds. So the opportunities are there. It just doesn't look like college.
But it fails to account for the fact that the Chiefs' defense is just as incompetent.
Well, apparently not, because they won the game.
No, they are incompetent. They both came into overtime at 36 for 36. The Chiefs' defense couldn't do squat against Josh Allen.
Right, but the number one defense in the NFL couldn't do anything to Patrick Mahomes either. So it goes both ways.
But look, here's the thing. It comes in at 36 and 36. That means both defenses were equally like Swiss cheese. The problem is, here's the problem. I'm looking at burden of proof. And the losing side in this has the burden of proof placed both upon their defense and their offense, regardless of whether the first unit that sees the field succeeds or fails.
Right.
The winning team, the burden of proof is not the same because depending upon the success or failure of the first unit, the second unit may or may not have to prove itself. That's what I'm looking at. The Bills had the burden of proof placed upon both of their offense and their defense. The Chiefs, only their offense mattered once all was said and done.
Only their offense mattered because they got the ball first, which is something you can't control.
Which is a coin flip.
But you
Yeah, but
can't
guess what?
control that.
The Bills
They
could
didn't
have went
kick the
for
ball out of the air.
the Bills could have went for 2 at the end of the
What would've
fourth
been
quarter.
the
Made it
difference?
37-33.
What happened when you get to overtime? What happened in regulation becomes immaterial.
No,
It's all
Irrelevant.
part of the game. It's not like a whole new game here.
It's a new game.
It's part of the
It's a
game.
new game.
It's part of it's overtime. It's part of the game. It's the
Okay.
accentuation of the game. They could have went for 2. The Bills could have stopped the Chiefs. The Chiefs could have stopped the Bills in
Why
overtime.
did the
It's
Bills'
all
job
part of the game.
avoid overtime?
It's
What
not.
was the
It's
everyone's
both
job to
teams
avoid
want to avoid
overtime. What are you
overtime.
talking about?
Both teams would
That's the
definitely
whole
want to
job.
avoid overtime.
Nobody wants to go to overtime. That's
Nobody
the whole
does.
game.
What would the
Nobody.
difference have been between a coin flip and the ref saying, well, Bills, I guess you can go first? There's no difference. It was completely random. Like, I get it. I get where they're coming from.
Suck.
They do. But is there a better alternative? I don't see one. Do you really want a repeat of the Iron Bowl where everybody just keeps scoring or can't score a freaking touchdown and we go to 4 overtimes? It was exciting, but
At least
stupid.
it was
Like
fair.
the game should have been over.
Here's what you guys are saying. Here's what I'm hearing. You would rather sacrifice a modicum of fairness in order to have the game end a little sooner.
It is fair.
The Bills' defense could have done their job. They didn't do their job. Guaranteed, everybody on that Bills coaching staff defense said we didn't do our freaking jobs. Regular game, overtime. They didn't do their job. Like it wouldn't have mattered if it was overtime or not. They didn't do their job at all.
And now here's where your argument does not make any sense and where it does not hold water. The burden of proof, as you want to say these glorious words, the burden of proof is imbalanced. If you allow your defense to give up a touchdown, defense and the burden of proof now relies on the offense to pick up my slack. That would be like me and you are on a group project and I fail at my job and I don't do any of my slides. So now you are expected to do all the work and I'm going to get credit for it for tying the game because you did your job.
But
I didn't do my job. But we're going to get the
same thing happen.
The truth of it is,
in the NFL, you should be able to hold a team to a field goal.
But
period.
Giving up 7
and if you
is
don't,
the worst thing you can do.
If you don't, you do not deserve to get a chance to win the game because your team did not do its job.
He doesn't care about that. Here's where I'll give you. He doesn't, and I knew that, and I could have saved you all the breath. The truth of it is that the burden of proof, Luke, existed in 60 minutes. They had 60 minutes to prove on offense and defense, we can stop you. There's your burden of proof. The entire team had an opportunity. Then when the coin flip comes down, we can't control what way the wind is blowing and who gets heads or tails. The proof of it is the defense that didn't show up and allowed the Chiefs to be in that situation continued to fail to show up in overtime. And that is what lost them the game. So the burden of proof was always there. They just continued to fail to prove it. So I get it. I do. I was on the fence until I heard like everything.
Let's say, Alvin, you're the quarterback. I'm the cornerback, and Luke's the receiver. Okay, and the entire game we're tied. I scored a touchdown. He scored a touchdown. I scored a touchdown. He scored a touchdown. But I know that I'm a little bit better at corner, and Luke's not as good as receiver. Guess what? I have a job to do when you throw the ball for me to knock it down. That way he cannot score a touchdown. Luke, you have a job of scoring a touchdown. I have a job of stopping a touchdown. That's just how it is. Like, I would like to take that matchup all day because I feel like I'm a little bit better of a corner and you're a little bit better of a receiver. Like, I have a job to do. You have a job to do. Your job is to score. My job is to stop you from scoring. Both of us have a job to do. It doesn't matter if I'm receiver, if you're corner. Like, it doesn't matter. You had a job to do. I have a job to do. I could not do it. Therefore, you won. Like, it's just, that's what it comes down to. Both of us had a chance of winning. All I had to do was stop you. I couldn't do that, so you won.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, that's, both of us had a job to do at the end.
I'm sorry, I just don't agree with that because here's the thing, it's not the same people. You
It
have
is the exact same team. What are you talking about? It's the exact same team
two
that played the
different
whole exact
units.
game. What are you talking about?
And defense.
It's the
But it's the
same
same
team, though.
offense and defense that was out there for the regular game. What are you talking about?
Again,
They don't
when
bring
you
in
come
an
to overtime,
unit
the
from the bench to come in and
regulation
play
becomes
overtime.
irrelevant. Both teams have proven themselves to equal capacity. That's what the score says. The score says that teams are equal. And so instead of making it that the teams have to prove themselves based on skill, we throw luck into the air and say, all right, based on this outcome of sheer luck, not skill,
but
It wasn't luck for the Chiefs to go down and score 7.
Yeah.
That's not luck. That's skill. They went down and scored. That's not luck. If it was, you know what I mean? Like, the Chiefs went down and scored. If Patrick Mahomes scoring 3 points in the first the first game before the overtime in 13 seconds, and then goes into overtime and scored a touchdown very easily, I wouldn't call any of that luck. I would just call it the Chiefs were better than the Bills.
I'm not saying that what Patrick Mahomes did is luck. That was skill. The luck comes in that the rules now dictate that Josh Allen has to stay on the bench.
He can come play on defense if they want. There was never a rule against that. Like, if he wants to win that match, strap up your pads, buddy, and get out there. Like, you know, but I get it. I get what you're saying. I would have loved to see Josh Allen get out there and keep fighting Mahomes. But
everyone would have loved to see Josh Allen go out and score a touchdown because we know they
would have
probably
been
would.
fair.
But we would still be here.
Okay.
Until
again,
the game would never be over, number one. Number two, the risk of injury is plain and simple too high to go play another 4 quarters worth of game because you don't like the way that the rule is played. Because as soon as a star goes down and gets injured, now they're not available for their next game. And now we have inferior football.
Why does that almost never happen in college, though? We have 7 overtime games.
I would call that inferior
football.
I don't want to watch 9 overtime
because thank you.
No, thank you.
Number one, yes. No. Number two, because they're still college kids who have much more flexibility in their bodies. They have much more youthfulness to them than grown freaking men. You've got Tom Brady at 5 years old playing football compared to a 21-year-old high school. Luke, how old are you?
I am 26.
Does your body work the same way it does when you were 19 and in college as an undergrad? Can you do everything that you did at 19 years old?
Let it be known that I am nowhere near.
That's not the point. Answer the question. Answer the question that is before you. Probably not. Because as you get older, injuries become much more high risk. When you are younger,
when you sleep
a little kid can fall down. What'd you say?
When you
sleep wrong.
Thank you. As a young kid, you could fall down the stairs and get right back up and run and go playing. If I fall down my stairs right now, I'm not getting up for 4 days out of bed.
Yeah.
Because as you're older, your body changes, and you cannot have those grown men out there doing the same thing that they were doing when they were in college. Look how many people just in the last 5 years have gone down with ACL injuries. Stars that have gone down with ACL injuries in the NFL.
You mean the
stars?
Ravens?
Every freaking team has had at least 3 players a year go down at the very least with an ACL injury, with some freak injury that keeps them out, not just for that rest of that season, but potentially some of the next season also. So now we play 9 interceptions. We play 9 overtimes in the Chiefs and the Bills. Now we've lost Patrick Mahomes' arm. His arm falls off. Josh Allen's leg falls off. We've got people who've got ACL tears. We've got people who can't wake up the next day and play the game. And now the next game, the conference championship game, is at risk because you wanted to go play 9 overtimes. The game has to end because you are now a professional who's getting paid millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars to do your job in regular time, in 60 minutes, in 4 quarters. After that, whatever happens to you is your fault for not doing your job in the regular time appointed to you. You get paid too much money not to do that.
However, if Mahomes' arm falls off, just remember, guys, anything is quite possible. So let's curtain it. I don't think we're going to agree. I don't think
No, I think we can agree. I think Luke is on a different stratosphere than the rest of us. I think the three of us have all come to a conclusion that it is what it is, and this is how things have to work because there is simply no better option other than maybe playing a shortened quarter, making them play a full quarter.
I would be in favor of that. I would be in favor of that.
I think that is probably
unless there's really good clock management and you have a real good running game, both teams are probably at least going to get a chance to touch the ball. So it's like, good grief.
All right,
it's just
all right. It's late. I got to run another show after this. Let's go. All right, so let's take out the trash. Guys, we're all NBA people. We all are, even though some of you root for the wrong teams, and that's all right. But let's all agree that the one man everybody can love to hate in the NBA is Grayson Allen. Did anyone see the play against Caruso?
I didn't watch the play, actually.
I assume he tricked him and hurt him.
Well, it was his wrist, so I don't know what happened. Did he punch him in the wrist?
He whacked him when he was going up for a layup. Like, he came and just bodied the guy. And I'm like, nah. Like, I'm sorry, but Grayson Allen, just retire. Just, like, void the rest of your contract. No one likes you. You've been dirty since you were 17. No one likes you. You are a, like, D-lister NBA player. You suck as a human and as an NBA player. Don't want to hear from him anymore. Anybody else on that one with me? Like,
no, I agree with you. I remember. Didn't he play at Duke?
Out of your way to hurt
really dirty at Duke too.
He was dirty at Duke too. Yep, for sure.
Oh yeah, yep. So we're gonna run a new a spotlight. Actually, we're gonna, instead of let's take out the trash, let's take out Grayson Allen every week, and we'll know that's trash. I'm just really passionate about this because he keeps hurting people, and like Aubin said, bodies get older. And they don't quite come back the same. And if he ruined Caruso, I will get a jersey just to burn it. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of him.
I don't know. I'm watching the play right now. I got to see if what he did.
I would love to see Giannis body this man. Like, I'm sick of it.
Yeah, really though.
Well, are they on the same team?
Yeah, he's on the Bucks.
Still, I'd love to see it. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So Aubin is catching up on that. I'm sure he'll have another one. But, guys, I saw more of it, and I'm just so sick of it. Can Jackson Mahomes just stop existing?
That's a tough call. That's a tough
Imagine if the coin had flipped the other way, we wouldn't have to worry about Jackson Mahomes
No, it's
anymore.
not about that. It's just him in general. He sucks.
Yeah.
Like, my God, just shut up. You are an immature child. Like, just stop. Like, he piggybacks on the Mahomes name and expects everyone to bow down and kiss his feet. Honestly, I'll tell you what you can kiss Jackson Mahomes, and you're not going to want to hear what that is. So, go away. Go away, you troll. Goodbye. So, that being said, let's do some quick flashbang. Kyle, I don't know if you're staying for the whole thing, but I'm going to ask you anyways. Guys, very simple. Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers, you get one sentence. Have at it. Who goes first?
Tom Brady. Tom Brady, because he doesn't blame his team for when he loses.
Okay.
It's like Tom Brady because he's going to run out of fingers if he doesn't retire soon.
Yeah. Aubin?
Tom Brady because I'm pretty sure he's vaccinated.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes, that has everything to do with it.
So I have to ask.
Kept them out of an important game. They could have been the number one seed. They wouldn't have had to play in the first game anyway. They were the number one seed. Never mind.
Actually, I'm not even going to ask the second one because everyone's going to say the ads are better for the Super Bowl. So let's skip that one. I'm not going to do any of the portal stuff this week. Sorry, guys. We just did not have time. We can catch up on that next week. Let's go to overrated. I've been waiting to talk about it. I'm going to do really brief because we're behind. But listen, Aaron Rodgers, I'm sick of him. I'm sick of him.
I'm tired of him.
I'm so sick of him. I own you to the Bears and all kinds of wacky, stupid stuff this year.
I mean,
and
he
then
does.
Who owns
I
him
mean,
now?
it's not
49.
true.
He does,
Okay,
but like,
but what does he have to show for it? You have
Right,
one
nothing.
ring in 17
One,
years.
one.
You're nothing.
the
I don't
greatest
care
regular
if
season
that's-
quarterback probably of all time. But as soon as he gets in the playoffs, oh well, my
Right,
team's
and-
not good enough. Oh
Other than
yeah,
Peyton
I'm
Manning,
hearing
other
you
than
say
Peyton
Adam.
Manning, but I guess Peyton Manning won too, so I guess he has the edge here. But he was
I-
about the same. But he's definitely a better regular season quarterback than Peyton.
for
But
sure.
it's about the same. But he's gonna. But that's the thing. That's the thing. Peyton Manning will go down in history as one of the greatest quarterbacks, and so will Aaron Rodgers. So I don't know if you can say overrated. It's just they're the same. They're basically the same player.
I would say
Okay,
overrated just because like when he gets to the finals, when he gets to the time where he need to be clutch, like he doesn't do it, and then he blames his team. But honestly, he has one of the best receivers in the game, one of the best running backs in the game. His O-line's always pretty good, and the defense
His
actually
defense is good
took
this
a
year.
step forward this year. Like
Yeah.
he has all the pieces to work with, and then you get beat by Jimmy Garoppolo. I know Garoppolo didn't do anything, but still losing to Jimmy Garoppolo, who probably won't even be on the team next year because they don't even like him. Like that's pretty bad.
But can we just be fair for just a second? Aaron Rodgers did nothing to lose that game.
Okay.
That loss is not.
He
That
didn't
loss
do
is
anything to
not.
win it.
That loss is not on. It's not on Aaron Rodgers because
No.
the San Francisco offense was inept and unable to do anything the entire game.
Yep.
They were winning and lost because of faulty special teams play,
True.
which has
True.
nothing to do with Aaron Rodgers. He did
right.
everything that he could do at the time to keep them in winning position. His defense failed him. It's not like he threw an interception to end the game. It's not like he threw bad passes, because I don't know that he threw an interception in the game or not. But it's not like he did anything specifically to lose the game. His
No.
special teams absolutely lost him the game. A blocked
know.
field goal that would have kept them up by 3, and they would have won the game if they had not blocked the field goal. You
Right.
get the blocked punt return for the touchdown. Everything that San Francisco did to win the game is because of their special teams, not because of Aaron Rodgers, and not for beating Aaron Rodgers. So I get it. However, this game, this year, does not have anything to do with Aaron Rodgers and losing that game. It has everything to do with him in years prior, but not this one.
But it does, because the same argument that we just used for Bills Chiefs is the same one here. You had 60 minutes to prove that you were the best quarterback on that field, and you
The
didn't.
only difference is we're playing in snow. Weather affects everyone very differently.
It is, but Green Bay should be better in snow than
No, absolutely. I
49.
completely agree with you. I understand that.
Here's my biggest gripe, and I'm curious to hear what you have to say. Just let me get through this one. Aaron Rodgers has great regular season stats. That's fantastic. You know who else does? Dan Marino. How many Super Bowls did Dan Marino have? 1.
Hall of Famer.
Like
and Aaron Rodgers should go down as a Hall of Famer. I'm not denying that.
No,
so I don't know. Are you calling Dan Marino overrated?
I'm not.
A little, because if he was that great, he should have won more. I'm not saying Dan Marino wasn't incredible. Dan Marino was incredible, but I'm hearing this online that people are comparing Aaron Rodgers to Dan Marino. They're two different animals. Marino was explosive. Marino made things happen. But every time he gets to a high position in a big game, Rodgers falls apart. And I'm sick, so sick of hearing people whinge for how good Aaron Rodgers is. You know what? Brady's gotten bailed out by his defense every year, but we still say Brady is the best quarterback that ever existed. Because
Brady's gotten bailed out a lot for sure. But
Tom Brady's one of the luckiest sons of guns.
That game, if he would have won that game, that was one lucky comeback. You know what I mean?
Yep.
4 fumbles in one game by the Rams. How often does that happen? Not very often.
To put it to the end, I get it. Yes, Aaron Rodgers is good, but I don't think he's that good, or else he would have proven it better.
If we're going to compare him, let's just compare him to Dan Marino real quick, just because we're here. He's 6,000 yards behind him in his career already, so that's just one season, 1.5 seasons behind, and he's only 20 touchdowns behind Marino in his career, which again, that's less than 1 season for Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah. Right.
Aaron Rodgers has thrown a career 93 interceptions. Dan Marino threw
150.
252.
Yeah, sounds about right.
So who's the better quarterback and winning and more likely putting his team in a better situation to win?
But you say winning.
And
winning
has won. has won. He's got a
Winning
chip.
what?
He's got a championship. He has one.
It's
Drew
just
Brees
like
Drew Brees only has one.
when Nick
Drew Brees-
Foles
hold
has
on
as many Super Bowl
Drew-
wins as Aaron Rodgers.
But
That's
Drew
my
Brees,
point. Like-
Drew Brees only has one. Are we calling Drew Brees
Eli
overrated?
Manning has 2 against
Right,
Brady.
like
No, but I think Aaron Rodgers is better than Drew Brees. That's why I think like he's a little bit overrated. Is because like I just think he's more talented.
Yeah.
He's one of like the arm, the accuracy, the mobility, like just
He's
everything
great.
that you can measure up in a quarterback. He has all like he's really freaking good. Like talent wise, like one of the best quarterbacks I've ever seen. But like when it gets to the big game, he just like does not have that killer instinct he does in the regular season. So maybe the word's not overrated, but I don't know what the word is. I just am disappointed because he definitely has
let's
the
say
most talent I've
disappointed.
ever seen as a quarterback, and he just can't get the job done in the NFC Championship games or a little bit
So-
before. And I'm wondering
Right.
why that is.
So instead of overrated, I'll say disappointing. Go ahead, Luke.
Yeah, no, basically what I'm hearing is, I mean, I'm just going to paraphrase what's been said. We see, like Brett, you see Aaron Rodgers as this massively overrated
Trash can.
QB
Mm-hmm.
because he shows himself to be one thing in the regular season and then shows himself completely differently in the postseason.
Mm-hmm.
You see this masterful QB most of the regular season,
Yeah.
dotting people up, generating a bunch of points in a bunch of games.
Yep.
Then he gets to the first round of the playoffs and can't even break 14. It's like he only scored the Packers only scored 10 points that game. Now, you want to say that that's not Aaron Rodgers' fault, but it's certainly the offense's fault. It's like for only scoring 10 points. You cannot expect to win an NFL playoff game by only scoring 10 points. I'm sorry. That's just not acceptable, and it proved to be the case.
Yep.
Just want to go over some stats real quick. I'm a numbers guy. I got to look at stuff, you know. Brad, you'll be fine. You know, it is what it is.
Swift.
Rodgers is 11-9 as a starter in the postseason. Not great numbers. Not great at all. Those are pretty awful. 4. This is Luke's gonna love this. 4 of his losses come in overtime.
I wonder if he lost the toss.
3 of them came when he did not have a offensive possession. So, are they his fault? Yeah, because he didn't win it in freaking regular time. Anyway, that's
Yes, thank you.
He's 4-2 in the wild card, 5-3 in division playoffs. The teams that he's playing, for the most part, because the NFC is other than the Patriots, obviously winning every other year, the NFC has probably won the most Super Bowls, I believe, in the last couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just
probably not. I mean, you look at the teams that have won the most Super Bowls.
The Chiefs, Patriots. There's 6 in the last 10, 15 years,
something like that. And then you remember the Steelers.
You get the Steelers,
Cowboys.
The Cowboys are NFC though. We're just looking.
Oh, Cowboys are NFC.
And the Cowboys have not won.
Since like
the Cowboys haven't won since the 80s.
Yeah. The Cowboys are disappointing though. Or sorry,
the Ravens. The Ravens that year they won the AFC.
Only the Bucks, the Giants
twice.
Giants twice. The Seahawks won. The 49ers lost to the Ravens.
Lost to the Ravens.
So it would be probably.
But the teams at least
the Eagles
to who he was losing to, at least were teams that went to the Super Bowl.
Let's be reminded about the AFC though, because everyone says that they have the best QBs, but they always forget that a QB from the NFC has made it to the Super Bowl every year since 1967. So let's just think about that while we're thinking about it.
Say that one more time. I thought it was a serious stat, and then he said it, and I was like, wait a minute. I was so confused. It's like, I mean, yeah, that's how football works. But I bet you they made the Pro Bowl too.
Oh, you know what? They might have, and no one thinks about that. Man.
Yeah.
Crazy. All right, let's do 2 more overrated, and then let's wrap it up.
It's a dangerous topic, Brad. You're talking about overrated now.
We're all going to agree on this one. Mike McCarthy, overrated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say
Yeah.
he's rated as what he's supposed to be because he sucks.
I think you're right. I don't think anyone thinks he's a great.
You have
All
to
right.
actually be rated over.
He
to
was
be-
better.
Jerry Jones, he's
he was
definitely
better
overrated.
than
100%.
any of the other options. But I mean, he's.
So that's fine.
I think he's
Speaking
probably
of
rated
Cowboys,
exactly where he belongs.
Well, speaking of Cowboys, then I've heard this debate on Twitter. I don't know if you guys have seen this too. ESPN kind of talked about it a little bit. Kellen Moore versus Eric Bieniemy, the head coach debate.
Eric Bieniemy needs to be a head coach.
Eric Bieniemy needs to be a head coach. I'm tired of him not being a head coach.
It's because he's black. I mean,
Brian Flores too. Why is he out? He should be a head coach.
I hear. This is what I've heard from the Dolphins scuttlebutt that I've heard is it has nothing to do with the wins. It has everything to do with, it's all politics, right? It's all politics in this coaching search. And it's because he's not a yes man. And they don't like that he has a strong personality. They want someone that they can just tell what to do and he's going to do it. But if he doesn't believe that Tua is the guy, if he doesn't believe, that's what I've heard as their excuse or what the rumblings of the inside is. But he deserves to be a head coach. He did way more than anyone else could have done with that team. And black black coaches need to get more representation. Also, the Rooney rule, they might as well just get rid of it. Honestly, I mean, it's kind of a slap in the face at this point. Here's what this is a topic for Afro-Latinos maybe, but my opinion on the Rooney rule is this. The fact that you have to mandate that your team looks at least one black or person of color
is bad.
Is disgusting.
Yep.
And what I want to know is if we offer to veto the Rooney rule, how many teams would immediately say yes and then not even bother wasting someone's time and just do what they want to do and not hire a black coach anyway? Because since the Rooney rule's implementation, I believe this is the number, out of I just heard this yesterday, out of 500 plus candidates, less than 30 have been hired for a position since the Rooney rule was put in place. So just get rid of it because it doesn't mean anything. You're not doing anything with it. Yeah, and it's clear that you're going, it feels that it's clear like you're going out of your way at this point to not use it.
Yeah. So the actual Twitter war that's going on is people are saying Kellen Moore is such a great offensive coordinator. He should be a head coach. And then people are turning around and going, have we seen what Eric Bieniemy has done for the past couple years for the Chiefs? Why is this man not a head coach? And I get it. Like Kellen Moore has a great mind, but Kellen Moore does not have the resume that Bieniemy does. And yet Bieniemy
Kellen Moore was an awful quarterback. Kellen Moore was a trash can of a quarterback. In the
NFL,
why are we trusting him with an offense?
Here's the thing. Eric Bieniemy, they're holding over Eric Bieniemy what he did many, many years ago. Like, that's what I hear a lot. What he did, you can look it up. I don't know what exactly it is. He got in trouble, but like they're holding it over his head. Yet, year after year after year, Cowboys, Raiders, whoever sign players that get in trouble right then and there, or like literally a year ago, and they're like, yeah, we'll welcome you on our team. Like, that to me is illogical because, like, this guy, whatever he did was many, many years ago. He's a different person now. He's a very good leader. All the players like him. And they're using that as an excuse to say, this is why we're not going to hire him. No, you're not going to hire him probably because half to 75% of the owners are racist.
This is the same reason. It's the same reason that a black quarterback like Jalen Hurts, who had a great statistical season, who had a season much like the season of Lamar Jackson when he won the MVP, very, very similar statistics. It's the reason why people don't think they should be quarterbacks. It's the reason why people of color, especially at the quarterback position, have very, 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 very short leashes. It's the reason that Kellen Moore, who was an awful quarterback in the NFL, gets to be an offensive coordinator for the Dallas Cowboys. It's the same reason that this all happens, just simply because, I don't even have to say it. You know why. And it's sad, but it's the case. It is what it is.
Yeah, Eric Bieniemy definitely should be a head coach somewhere. I think another thing would be like, well, it's all Andy Reid, but like you can learn so much from Andy Reid. You know what I mean? Like even if the whole Chiefs offense isn't all Eric Bieniemy, who cares? If you're learning from Andy Reid for the last 5 years, who has gone to 4 straight AFC championship games, like that's at least something more valuable than whatever Kellen Moore has done. Who did he learn from? Mike McCarthy? Oh yeah,
Right.
that's really good. You know what I mean? Like that's solid.
Right.
Oh.
Take Andy Reid out for a cheeseburger and learn everything you can with that man.
100%.
But yeah, thanks everybody for tuning in. Wow, that really got out of hand. But hey, you know what? At least we had a whole bunch of good opinions. I'm sure we're gonna get comments from a lot of people. We did get comments from a lot of people about the playoff rules. Give us suggestions. Tell us what you think. With that being said, check us out on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook. If you're here, you're on Facebook, and Spotify. We're doing something special for Spotify. I'll go back and tell you guys what that is later. But for now, thanks for being with us for Jock Talk. We will see you next week. Bye, everybody.